Yeah, so just take Ajahn Kevali invited me to say a few words today because of course, this is a very special day, January 16th, the commemoration of Ajahn Chah's passing away. Of course, it's been going on since the 12th, but today is the actual day of his passing. And there'll be special ceremonies over at Wat Pah today, particularly a circumambulation and then Dhamma talks all through the night. And just to be able to maybe give a few reflections or recollections. And I think of course, I gave a bit of a reflection in Thai before the meal. One of the things that came to my mind is that it's actually 33 years since Ajahn Chah passed away. And I mean, that's, say, in a human being's life, you grow up and get married, have children, a whole life can go by. And to a certain degree, that's also what's happened in a Sangha. The generation that, say, like my generation, of monks and the monks who were my teachers with Ajahn Chah have all gotten older, not older, old. And, and many have died. And many are in the process of dying. The other day, I went up to pay respects to one of the senior disciples of Ajahn Chah, kind of a stalwart in the Sangha, one that was very much respected by us and looked to as the Western community or foreign community. And he's on his way, definitely on his way out. So seeing this passing of time, passing of generations, and to be able to reflect on that and sort of Ajahn Chah lived in reality, didn't live a really long life. And he passed away in his early 70s, but he was also sick for 9 or 10 years before he passed away. So not only is it 33 years since he passed away, it's about 43 since he gave was actively teaching. And I think, one of the things that's important to reflect on is, what is the legacy that he's passed on that gives that kind of, resilience or relevance? Because I think back of, 43 years ago, what's left that's actually still relevant? You think of social leaders or ideas and whatnot, psychology. How many types of psychology have come about in the last 43 years? They just pass through. But here is this teacher from northeast of Thailand, and his teachings are still very relevant. His example, his life example, is still very relevant. And so I think I was thinking of. I was with Ajahn Tiradhammo, he and I are the same years in the monastic life, 51 years as monks. And on Ajahn Chah's second trip to the West, where he went to England and America, he also went to Canada. And Ajahn Tiradhammo was there, received him, and he gave a public talk in Vancouver. And they took him out for a walk, just to see, and Ajahn Chah, kind of apropos of nothing, turned to Ajahn Tiradhammo and said, "I can't give you any wisdom, but I can give you patience." And that, that's really, because so often, we tend to look to a teacher or teaching as what am I going to get? What do I need to learn? What do I have to? And Ajahn Chah was always turning the focus around, rather than looking out to, okay, I'll get wisdom or knowledge or some sort of practice from this teacher or that teacher. And he was always trying to get you to turn around and look and see, it is in here, it's in your own heart. Which is also similar to, I think, of Ajahn Sumedho relating a story where he went to pay respects to Lupo Kao, a very, very senior, highly respected disciple of Ajahn Mun. And he went with Lupo Cha and Ajahn Mahamon, and they sat and had this very lively conversation and questions and chatting and receiving teachings from and guidance from Lupo Kao. And it was in this real thick, down-home Lao Isan. And Ajahn Sumedho couldn't understand a word of what was going on. And he was kind of frustrated and disappointed that he gets to go close to this big teacher, but he didn't feel he got anything. And because of his lack of skill in language, so then they went up. Of course, they paid respects, and they're leaving. And of course, Ajahn Chah and Ajahn Mahamon, they go first, and that being the most junior, Ajahn Sumedho waits to follow him. And Lupo Kao, who was quite old at the time, all of a sudden he kind of leaped up and went quickly over to Ajahn Sumedho and grabbed him, and then pointed to his heart and said, "It's all here. It's all here." And that was the teaching. So that I think there's going to be these ceremonies and teachings, whatnot, going on in commemoration of the passing of Ajahn Chah, and his example and his teachings are extremely important to be reflecting on. But in the end, sort of, it's all here. It's all here. Not to forget that, not to be looking out and saying, okay, waiting for the bolt of illuminating insight to come from some teaching that you get off of somebody sitting on the high Dhamma seat. Pay attention, reflect, investigate, really look at one's own experience. And so that sense of, and that takes patience. And that was something that Ajahn Chah, certainly of all the things you had to learn in order to survive Wat Pah was patience. And because nothing ever worked the way you thought it would, or nothing ever fell into place the way you thought it would. You had to really learn how to be patient. And it's something that is really, in terms of a doorway into insight, just learning how to be patient with conditions so that one is able to recognize their true nature. And their true nature is not all that complicated or even all that externally profound. It's just, as the Buddha sort of exclaimed in his first teaching on seeing that Kondanya, I sort of understood the teachings, realized stream entering. And what he realized in entering the stream of Dhamma was whatever is of the nature to arise, that is of the nature to cease. And he's saying that's not a hidden teaching. That's not beyond any of our capability to understand. But as one of the things that Ajahn Chah, in terms of his manner of teaching and teaching over and over again, emphasizing, this practice is not that difficult. There's only two things you need to do: know and let go. There's just these two things that we're all capable of, but just know and let go, relinquishing, releasing, abandoning, letting go. And you watch the mind and you realize, of course, there's all sorts of obscurations to our knowing clearly. And then even when we do know clearly, it's sort of like, well, yeah. not yet. Not want to let go yet. So but it's a very immediate teaching. Know and let go, and keep coming back to that. And if you think in terms of a kind of a mantra for oneself, going over to Wat Pah and participating in the listening to the teachings and the circumambulation and the atmosphere that is there, which is one of both of faith and devotion and complete chaos, and it's just knowing and letting go. Know and let go. This is the essence of what Luang Cha is teaching. And the Ajahn Chah's tendency was, one of the things that he would emphasize also is that the whole point of this practice is is for understanding. It's like, he said, like we're not trying to control the mind. We're trying to teach the mind. And to really pay attention to those, because, how much do we try to control our mind, control our thoughts, control our emotions, control our experience of peace or of our thoughts, and trying to get samadhi, trying to get insight. And how much is we're trying to control, rather than how can we educate the mind? How can we learn from our experience? How can we learn from the mind and learn with the mind, rather than just trying to control our experience, which is ultimately frustrating. The sense of learning, of educating ourselves, of understanding is just so important to pay attention to. And this is another aspect of a signature quality of Ajahn Chah's approach. When Ajahn Sumedho was in early days of him being in England, or after having been in England for some time, and he got a letter from one of the monks, Western monks, who said, Ajahn Chah asked me, you won't believe this, but Ajahn Chah asked me to write a letter to you. And because Ajahn Chah was not great with communication in that level. He was a great communicator, but having to actually do something, sit down and do it, that'd be very special. So that he said, and so then he said, Ajahn Chah asked me to write down what I'm going to write to you. And he said, and this is Ajahn Chah telling us that Sumedho, whenever you have thoughts of liking or disliking or loving or hating anything whatsoever, make that your basis for building barami, for learning. And the Buddha Dhamma is not found in moving forward, not found in moving backwards, not found in staying still. Just this is your place of non-abiding. And that was Ajahn Chah's message. The extent of it, he left it there. So because we try to make things concrete, and whatever you experience, be willing to learn from it. Be willing to pay attention. How do I use it so that I can develop qualities that are, paramis, say generosity, these different spiritual virtues. Say, rather than this is what I'm going to get to enlighten me or awaken me, or it's going to support my own sense of self. How do I develop just these wholesome qualities? And then not try to get too fixed and it has to be this way, it shouldn't be that way. It's just the way it is. It's not found in, okay, I'm going to get this progress, or I've got to come back and I'm not going to do anything. Just not fixing oneself in a position and being willing to respond, knowing and letting go, knowing and letting go. Comes back to that directness and simplicity. So those are a few thoughts to take with you to Wat Pah, and just to recollect. Here's this teacher who has, for most people here, just some sort of mythical figure in history somewhere. But he's made an impact so that everybody gathers once a year on the anniversary of his death and tries to recollect his example.